Welcome everyone to the Canadian Association of Professional Immigration Consultants, or CAPEX, bi-weekly update. My name is Marjorie Newman, RCIC based in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm a volunteer for the CAPEC Prairie, currently under the Policy and Lobbying Committee. Joining me today is another active volunteer of CAPEC Prairie chapter, who is the membership chair, Joe Balbiran. Joe, hi Joe, how are you?
Hi, Marge. Thank you so much for the introduction. And yeah, I appreciate that you had given me the chance to be here. And yeah, as you have said, my name is Joe Almunia Balbiran, a member of the Canadian Association of Professional Immigration Consultants, CAPIC, and I'm based in Lloydminster, the only border city of Canada,
Wow.
divided between Alberta and Saskatchewan. Yeah, so back to you, Marge.
Okay, so for our first update, you have an update for us about changes in citizenship application, right?
Okay,
Go.
yeah.
Go for it, Joe.
There's changes to rules on citizenship by descent. Before July 2020, only biological parents could pass down their Canadian citizenship to their children. So that means if you're a Canadian citizen and give birth outside Canada, you can pass down your citizenship to your children. But starting this month, July 2020, non-biological parents can pass down their Canadian citizenship to the children who were born outside Canada if they're the legal parent of the child. So this means that if you are a Canadian citizen and you are the parent, the legal parent of the child born outside Canada, you can automatically pass it down, the Canadian citizenship, to the child. But this does not include to those parents who adopted the children after they were born. So these are the these give benefits to those Canadian parents who cannot that they want to start family of their own, that they cannot have a child of their own. So those includes member of the LGBTQ. They can seek help, and if it's done outside Canada and the child is born outside Canada, the child will be Canadian citizen, but of course they have to apply for the proof of Canadian citizenship of the child through the Canadian certificate.
Okay.
Yes, so
So this is a historical change, Joe, made by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. This means now, my take on this is that this means now that non-biological legal parents at birth and biological parents are now viewed as equal as child
yes.
parent for the purposes of citizenship by descent. So thank you very much, Joe, for that important update. Now let's move on. This is another topic that's very close to me because I do sponsorship application a lot. It's still under the family reunification. So IRCC is still posting on their website as of June 22, 2020. If you would like to check that under the International Mobility Program, special initiatives and pilot projects, the open work permit pilot program for permanent resident applicants in the spouse and common law partner inside Canada class. I'd like to repeat that this is only meant for spouse and common law partner inside Canada class. Just to give you a background, this pilot program was announced on December 22, 2014 and has been extended until July 31st, 2020, which is only 3 days away from today right? So applicants under the SCLPC class no longer have to wait until first stage approvals are complete before applying for an open work permit. To be eligible, a sponsorship application has to be submitted. And of course, you have a Canadian citizen or permanent resident as the sponsor. The applicant must reside or lives with the sponsor, and they have to be on the same showing or indicate the same mailing address. And the most important thing is at the time of the submission of the open work permit application, the applicant must have a valid temporary resident status, either as a visitor, a student, or a worker, or is eligible to restore their temporary resident status and has submitted the restoration of application with their application for permanent residence. So how do you submit the open work permit application? So there's two ways, right? So when you submit your sponsorship
Mhm.
application by
Mhm.
paper, you can include the open work permit application. Or if the sponsorship application has already been submitted and you receive the AOR, then you can apply online for this open work permit and include the or attach the AOR in your application. And the duration, normally the
Mhm.
duration of the open work permit is 2 years or until the date the applicant's passport expires, whichever is the earliest. So yeah, I hope I'm hoping that IRCC will make this program permanent because this is really a
Mhm.
popular program under the SCLPC class or the spouse or common law partner inside Canada class. Now, since uh, both of us are from Alberta, right?
Mhm.
So let's talk something that is closer to home. Now, I don't know if you have heard that on June 29, 2020, the Premier of Alberta, Honorable Jason Kenney, announced that to put Albertans first, he will ask the federal government to remove most occupational categories under the Temporary Foreign Worker Program for Alberta. Currently, there are 24 occupations on the list of
Mhm.
the refusal to process of LMI applications on Service Canada, on Service Canada's website. You can check that. So those who represent RCICs, who represent employers in LMI applications, so it is strongly recommended that you check the website first before signing the retainer agreement with the employer or before you
Mhm.
start your LMI application, right, Joe?
Yes,
Um, because
exactly.
I have some RCICs who received this email from Service Canada, which says that the government of Alberta is requesting that the federal government refuse to process or RTP LMI applications for all of occupations with a few exceptions to ensure Albertans are
Mhm.
prioritized for jobs during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, at this time, implementation is still being finalized, but it's good that we are being warned by Service Canada. So after implementation, the governments of Canada and Alberta will jointly review these temporary changes quarterly and make adjustments as the economy improves. And LMI applications will be assessed using a new RTP list is after an official announcement, which is expected in the coming weeks. So a Service Canada officer will contact you to determine next steps regarding a pending LMIA application once the official announcement is made. So again, a reminder to RCICs, this is only for the provincial government. This is only for Alberta. Okay? Doesn't apply to any province because
Mhm.
currently
Okay.
we already have 24 occupations are on the RTP on Service Canada's website. So before you sign a retainer agreement with an employer or before you start an LMIA application, make sure you check first, right, for updates on Service Canada
Mhm.
if they have already updated the RTP or the refusal to process this. So at this point, I would like to, still in Alberta though, our updates, ask
Yes.
Joe to provide us update of AINP's current inventory.
Okay, yeah, so thanks again, Marge. Yeah, so with AINP, there are like the federal government of Canada like set limits to the nomination certificates for each provinces and territories that they can issue per year. So as of July 21st, 2020, that was last week, the AINP already issued all the 6,000 nomination certificates for the year 2019. But for 2020, the number of nominations issued are not yet available. But however, like ANP is still continuing to assess the application and still continuing to issue nominations for this year. And there are already 300 expression of interest in the Alberta Express entry pool, and there's 1,150 Alberta Opportunity Stream AOS applications. So with the volumes and processing, it's if you had submitted your application to AANP before April 16, 2020, you expect that they had contacted you already. But after April 16, 2020, if you had submitted after that date, they are still in queue, so you just have to wait. They're still working on it, but in a reduced capacity. And there are some, for the Alberta Express entry, the most recent, which is last month, June 17, 2020, they have their Alberta, the ANP Express entry draw. There are 187 notice of interest letters issued, and the lowest score or CRS score was 303. Yeah, so those are the basic updates for the ANP nomination, and I know there are still some with about COVID, which we're going to discuss with Marjorie. Am I
Soon.
right, Marge?
Yeah. Yes. So the Premier of Alberta has also announced same day, June 29, 2020, that they will ask the federal government to reduce to 4,000 the
Oh,
issuance of nomination certificates. Yes. So we should hear more on that as the days come with the AINP.
so do you have any
Anyway,
idea why it was lower down from 6,000 to 4,000?
yeah, it's still because of COVID, right? They want to put Albertans first, to prioritize Albertans in terms of
Yes.
employment opportunities. So
Okay,
speaking
yeah,
of Alberta,
that's
still
understandable.
AINP
Mhm.
has made temporary changes in response to COVID-19. So Joe, would you like to discuss as to submitting applications to AINP at this point?
Okay. Yeah, so as I've said a while ago, ANP are still accepting new applications. They're not returning it to you. So if you already had met those eligibility requirement under the AOS in ANP, you can submit your application as soon as possible. They are accepting copies of signatures forms. So to be safe, you don't just have to do the electronic signing, but print the form and sign it and scan it for those spouses that are still outside Canada. Because as we all know, it should be original ANP forms. That's before COVID, right? So, but because of COVID, they are doing this temporarily changes that they will accept copies of the original signed forms and copies of the transcript for the postgraduate work permit holders. And but still the same, that ANP are accepting applications only through mail. So they don't
Yep.
accept electronic applications.
Electronic.
So
Yeah, good
yeah,
to
so
know.
you have to, yeah, so you have to do this through courier or through Canada Post, and
Canada
it's
Post.
advisable to have it with a tracking number. So, so as I've
So you
said a
can
while
track.
ago, yeah, you can still submit a new application, but there are some also temporary measures that you can submit application even if there are some missing documents. But you have to prove that you've been doing that to secure that document. Okay, so
Yeah.
and also you have to attach an explanation letter. So you cannot just submit a document, an application with a missing document and don't say anything. Okay, so you have to write
Yeah.
an explanation letter and provide evidence that you have been started to do and has requested this document. So I know there are some documents that needs to be received from outside Canada or from home country. So you can still submit as long as you did those other requirements and meet the eligibility requirement of the AOS. Okay,
Yeah.
so
I actually submitted, Joe, two applications recently, and then with no IELTS result. Yeah. So I
okay.
provided an explanation,
Mhm,
and then I submitted copies of the proof of registration, proof of
mhm,
payment, emails received from IELTS or CELPIP, and then that the applicant will take the exam, like in the
mhm.
next few months. So yeah, and we actually received the file number, which is good. So in
Okay.
talking about the assessment of applications, so AINP will temporarily hold new applications for 60 calendar days from date of
Mhm.
mailing and current applications for 60 calendar days from date of assessment, whether the application is either incomplete due to COVID-19 or if the AINP program officer cannot verify the information or documentation. AINP will advise by email if an application is put on hold. Now, after 45 days, AINP will determine if there is a need of additional 60 calendar days of on hold to be applied. If there is a change, and they also advise that if there's a change in your employment situation, like
Mhm.
address, contact information, or representative, that the applicant must advise AINP as soon as possible.
Mhm.
So, do you
Yes.
want to provide update for the AOS, Joe?
Okay. Yes. So for AOS, the selection criteria and assessment of the application. So based on my own experience, I have applications who were submitted before April, and the ANP officer already had contacted them, and their current work was changed before submit. Like, it's already different. So, and also I have one who are currently laid off, so their application were set aside or put on hold for 60 days, and we are requested to update the officer if there's some changes in the employment or they are rehired. But if you need extra or more than the 60 days, you can request. It might be granted. There's no harm in requesting. And also those, like before Alberta AOS, the requirement is the employment should be under the Alberta location, and it should be zoned for commercial or industrial use. But because of COVID, with the changes, you may still be eligible with this AOS criteria. Like example, if you're working from home. Okay, so if it affects the safety of the worker and employer and you are requested to work from home, you can still be eligible for ANP. And yeah, so there's no harm in submitting or just waiting for the update from the Alberta officer to contact you if you had submitted your application before. So as long as you had a reason like why you are no longer working, just like be honest if they will contact you to
Yeah,
start assessing your
yeah, of
application.
course. So for Alberta Express Entry Stream, AILP will continue to do selection draws. However, at this time, they will only nominate individuals living and working in Alberta. Candidates who are on the Alberta Express Entry Pool who lost their jobs, or those who work in a regulated occupation and unable to meet licensure or registration requirements will have their applications put on hold for 60 calendar days, as you mentioned, to allow them
Mhm.
time to become eligible for nomination. So, candidates with no recent history of employment in Alberta will not be processed until further notice, including new applications from individuals who receive an NOI or notification of interest before
Mhm.
April 29, 2020, as well as applications in process. And also, I just read this. There's updates for study permits, so you better check the website IRCC website for the updates on study permits or international students. Okay, they made changes to the website today, and then it's very
Mhm.
clear. It's actually good. We have lots of information there.
Oh,
All
so that's
right,
really
so I
good.
think our time is up, Joe. Do you want
Yeah.
to leave anything for our viewers? Like sort of an inspiration.
Okay. Yeah. So I have like from Google, like which I really like, motivational quote, which is long, but yeah. So it's infuse your life with action. Don't wait for it to happen. Make it happen. Make your own future, make your own hope, make your own love, and whatever your beliefs, honor your creator, not by passively waiting for grace to come down from up upon high, but by doing what you can to make grace happen yourself right now, right down here on earth. Yeah. So thank you so much,
Wow.
Marge.
Thank,
Really appreciate
thank you
talking with
very
you.
much, Drew. That's very uplifting. It's very inspiring. Till next time, on behalf of KPIC, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to KPIC's YouTube channel for more updates. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye and stay safe.
Thank you. Okay, bye bye.